sans aucun prétexte. Je ne veux avoir de réflexe malheureux. Il faut que tu m'expliques un peu mieux. Comment te dire adieu?
Citroen SM, celebrating 50 years since its appearance now in 2020. I'm Daniel and I would like to share my Citroen SM story with you. So basically, I got this beautiful car about 2 years ago from my grandfather in France. You can see that. Who bought this car actually 1972 and drove it for about 10 years and then put it in a garage. And now it's time, 2020, to give this car another rally on the road. So as I said, the car actually was purchased 1972, and that is correct, but basically it was ordered 1971, as you can see here, 11th of December 1971. You can see this on the original paper, bon de commande, from the order of my grandfather. You can also see what was the price at that time, 51,800 francs. The options chosen were the air conditioner, tainted windshields, and obviously leather, with the prices that are stated here. The color was chosen as brun scarabée, so it's a brown, dark brown, and the leather has been chosen in cuir tabac, in tabac brown. So this basically is how you probably then ordered the car, which is pretty interesting to see. And then also here there's a small disclaimer here on the price, which is here written like 56,800, and it's written the prices are only indicative. And if something changes until delivery, so coming the car from the factory basically, and if the terms have changed, then the price is also allowed to change, which is pretty interesting, I think, to see. So this then here is actually the original quote of the car. You can see here again the prices and how it's actually put together. You can see the text at that time that has been put. So in total here you have 57,663, which is actually a little bit more as what has been stated before. I don't know if you can still do that today. You actually add a couple of percent in the end. Okay, so this basically is quite interesting to see how that was done. And another thing that I would like to show you is that actually at the time when my grandfather bought this car, his son, so basically my uncle, was of course very fond of that car, as many people in the 1970s. They were actually so crazy about it that he kind of collected all the things that he found in the magazines and everything and put it here in a very nice display, which probably today you would do as a PowerPoint, and at that time actually was done by manual writing. And if you look at the writing, actually how great it is done, every single character has been written in a standard form. So here you can see how much work actually has been put into everything. How is the prices, how is the what are the tires, the Michelin XWX tires, which are great tires, come to that later. All this nice ads that you had in that time, right? This was definitely one of the most impressive car ads at that time. A little bit about the engine and the technologies, about the style, about the gearbox, about the interior. So it's pretty amazing, I would say. And everything has been written, as I said, handwritten, but of course with a standard typing here. So this is pretty amazing. So you can see like 50 years ago how crazy the people actually were about this car, and actually it continues today, I can tell you, because I'm at least as crazy as they are about this car. So my grandfather actually was quite a mechanic, businessman and mechanic, so he took care of all the cars himself, and so also the SM, sorry. And that's why also I got all this necessary documentation from him. We have a spare part, 2 spare part catalogs here, and we have all 5 original catalogs that is basically documentation for all kinds of works. And everything that I did on the car to make it, to put it on the street again, to make it run again, I did everything according here to the manuals, which are really, really, really well done. I can tell you that. So if you get one of those cars and you're working on it, make sure that you also get these really useful manuals. So what else do we have here? We have the, of course, this is the manual of the car, which is really well done. It's also very interesting what kind of information is actually in there. So many detailed information. If you compare this to manuals nowadays, honestly speaking, I really prefer that. So the next step here is, this is the original service booklet. I mean, look the feel and how it shines. I mean, this has been top of the tops already, of course, in the 1970s, and actually it is still top of the tops today. So you can see that everything really, really nice. So as my grandfather did everything on his own, he had his own small service booklet and kept this original, but every single screw step that has been done on that car is actually put down in a different document. And another very, very interesting and insane move, I would say, that I also used very much during the refurbishing, actually was this hydraulic test bench here. So he basically, all his cars in his company were Citroen cars. So he felt okay to take care of all that and to make all the checks, and in the documentation is always referred to that. You may use this special hydraulic test bench. And that's why probably he got it. So including the documentation, of course. And basically here you have the LHM, the LHM, so the hydraulic liquid, which is here. And you have a manual pump. And then actually you can engage whatever you want on the car to that. Suspension, brakes, whatever there is. Whatever is hydraulically driven can be attached, let's say, to that test bench. It's a movable test bench, right? You can take it right to the car. There's a lot of things that are actually also done at the car with that. And then you have different pressure levels here until 200 bars. There again, some electric checks. And here the main one actually with 100 bars that I basically used all the time and which is installed right now. With that one here actually comes all this periphery that you can see right here, which is a big board. And on that board actually there's everything you need, is predefined tubing, piping, some interfaces, everything that you actually need to work on the car. Here on top you can see the old license plates still from France. And yeah, of course now we're in Germany here, so I kind of had to change everything to the German license plate. I hope Her Majesty will not take it bad, but so far she's running really, really, really nicely. All right, then let's talk a little bit more about the car and the tires, for instance. So the tires at that time were actually the Michelin XWX radial tire. You can see that here. This is original tire, actually 195 from that time. So my grandfather bought some spare tires actually to have new ones whenever he needed. That you cannot use it 50 years later. Maybe should have thought about it, but it doesn't matter. Actually, it's one of the last 195 tires that I've ever seen. Actually, this is a high-speed tire at that time. I mean, look at that. This looks like a rally tire or something nowadays, but this has been developed actually for the high speed of the Citroen SM, which can go far over 200 kilometers an hour, which was the fastest front-wheel driven car at that time. So nowadays we're still using these tires, and the great thing is that Michelin is still producing it, because a lot of sports cars actually at that time were using these tires. But nowadays you have these tires actually as a 205. But nevertheless, they belong to this car and they give you a really, really great feel. All right. So since we know now a little bit about this car, let's have a look inside and then also have a drive. So as mentioned here, we have the tabac cuir in light brown with this nice dashboard with Jaeger elements, which I really, really like and which are definitely timeless, I have to say. This nice middle board, the gear and chrome, which is really well done. And then actually here, the handbrakes and some spare place where actually the radio is put. And I'm wondering actually why my grandfather didn't take a radio, but I can only assume that he was thinking, well, Maserati engine under the hood, so the sound must be awesome. To take actually a radio with it would just destroy everything. And I know exactly what he meant. We will see that later. So let's check a little bit under the hood. We have here the great front, which is awesome. Still great today, I think. Anyway, the design that we see here, I think it's so well done. If you compare this to other designs, let's say of that time or maybe even today, let's say to create a design like that is really, really insane. Okay, so my mission here basically was, since everything came like flawless papers, everything original, right, everything handmade. So my job here actually was like, don't destroy it, right? Don't destroy it, don't change anything, keep the originality. That was basically my mission here. And I got some very, very good help of good colleagues and friends, some mechanics, but also some professional garage that basically helped me here. So everything you see here basically is original from that time. The only things that I have changed is the pump for the water jet of the windshields. I think that's allowed. And I put the filter here because basically the fuel system was very, very dirty and still have a little bit of issue in idling, that everything is done because this Weber carburetor here is actually some nice piece of stuff and it keeps you busy, I can tell you that. So I took it apart already 3 times completely cleaned and everything, but still, you know, still from time to time some of the orifices get stuck and then the engine is not running, let's say, as smoothly as it should. Here we have the air conditioning here. It's pretty nice to see. And basically here, everything that is green is hydraulics. And these are basically the original hydraulic spheres that I took and have them remade because I wanted the original spheres also back. You can buy new ones nowadays. But as I told you before, the mission here is to keep it as original as possible. All right, what else can I say? I had to change this principal accumulator here. That's why it's not green, because I also wanted to show that this is not an original part from the 70s. But all the rest, unless some small cabling, let's say, all the rest is original. And I have to admit, this is a beautiful engine room. No, there's a lot of critics, by the way, about this, but I think it's simply beautiful. And by zooming out here, you can see that actually the engine only takes, let's say, a small part of the engine room. I wouldn't say this is an engine room. I would say this is a hydraulic power plant. And this makes it so awesome, and this makes it so special. All right. So let's go on a ride and see how that goes. And then, by the way, you'll also understand why radio is not needed.